Yep, without any questions, I already know that they're going to be teaching us in college about that Kendrick Lamar halftime Super Bowl performance, so I already did my dissertation, bitch. I already did the full thing. Let me tell you guys what I have uncovered about this insane fucking performance. So to lay the groundwork, this whole performance is Kendrick Lamar playing a video game. And right here we have the X, the square, the circle, and the triangle, which is the 4 buttons and a PlayStation control remote. And it starts off with him selecting the square. Then Uncle Sam tells everybody that this is the great American game. Obviously, Uncle Sam is a symbol of American power structure, and this is alluding to the fact that America is like a game, and some of us are winners and losers, some of us rig the system, some of us cheat, but at the end of the day, we're all in this American game, and Kendrick Lamar is trying to beat the game, trying to fight the system. Then inside of the square, Kendrick Lamar starts singing on top of this GNX car, which in the 1980s represented power and rebellion. Then out of the car that represents defiance comes out a whole bunch of people dressed in red, white, and blue. These people not only represent the American people, but it also represents different aspects of our society. The red could be the conservatives, the blue could be the liberal, and the white is the elite, wealthy individuals, because clothing, historically, white has been associated with rich people just because it's always cost more to maintain white clothing because it can get stained more and it just requires higher maintenance. There's only one time in the entire performance where Kendrick Lamar mentions the word government, and it was in his first song. And in that exact moment that he says government, a white-dressed person shakes hand with a red-dressed person, which symbolizes wealthy elites shaking hands and making deals with the conservative power structure in America. Corruption. Then he goes on to say that the revolution is about to be televised. Y'all chose the right place but the wrong guy, which basically means that the United States is long overdue for a revolution, that we deserve change, right? But we chose the wrong guy, meaning that the change and the person that is leading the change and the direction of that change is wrong. We need change, but not that kind of change. We need a revolution, just not that kind of revolution. And obviously, it's going to be televised because of the technology that exists currently. This is directly towards Donald Trump and Elon Musk. After mentioning that, he starts singing Squabble Up, which pretty much is a song about standing your ground and standing up and fighting back. Then Uncle Sam comes back to the picture, which, remember, he's the one that's controlling the game, says that Kendrick Lamar is playing the game too loud, that he is being too reckless, that he's being ghetto, that he needs to calm down. And this is something that the power structure in America has used historically to control marginalized voices and make society believe that these people shouldn't be heard because they're too reckless and they're too disruptive. I'm literally getting chills. Okay, so after Uncle Sam says that, Kendrick Lamar is now standing in between a split American flag, which pretty much says that that kind of rhetoric that Uncle Sam is spewing is divisive to the country. And he does this singing the song Humble, which is basically saying to the power structure in America to sit down and reflect on the division that they're causing in our country and to be more humble. Okay, so then now we're under a street light where he's speaking out against the system, right? And this symbolizes Americans going to the streets and voicing their concerns and their opinions. And Uncle Sam comes back and says, "Keeper, take a life."
Keeper, deduct one life.
That speaks for itself, right? You're trying to instill fear into people so they can stop speaking up by committing acts of violence against these marginalized groups that are voicing their concerns and speaking out against the system. But we officially left the square and now we're inside the X, where Kendrick Lamar starts to sing the song Peekaboo. Within video games, the X symbol on the PlayStation remote means to confirm something. So by singing the song Peekaboo inside the X, this basically means that Kendrick is choosing to reveal unhidden truths about people, about society, about our political structure that exists currently. And he uses this moment to tease They Not Like Us.
I want to perform their favorite song, but you know they love the Sue. What song? Yeah, that song.
He like teases it again. That is uncovering truths, right? That song was a diss track against Drake. But this is beyond just the Drake diss track. It goes to the larger message of uncovering deeper truths. Then we move on to the triangle. In a video game, the triangle is the direction you want to go. So, and in the triangle is SZA, who is singing the song Luther. I first gotta say she a bad bitch, but this song right here is about moving towards the direction of pursuing love and social change, and she's doing this within the triangle, which makes perfect sense. Now we have people marching down the street, which obviously represents peaceful protest, but they're also marching around the circle. The circle inside of a PlayStation remote represents rejection or cancellation. Inside the circle, Kendrick starts singing the song All the Stars, where he talks about how confrontation ain't something new to him and how he will always fight back even though people try to attack him. This is done within the circle, which is, again, rejection. He is rejecting people trying to diminish him. He is rejecting people trying to shut him up. He is fighting back. But this is a soft song. He's not yelling, he's not being aggressive, he's not speaking loud. It is a soft spoken song. In many ways, you can say that this song is like a peaceful protest because it's so soft. And then Uncle Sam is so happy because they're being so calm, they're being so soft, even though they're talking about these like really important issues that are degrading them and diminishing them. They're doing it peacefully, they're doing it softly. So Uncle Sam is happy. He's saying how he's glad that they're calm. But then he gets mad because Kendrick then changes his tone and loudly stated how you can try to rig the system, but you can't fake influence, which basically means that no matter how many times wealthy people have tried to rig the system in their favor, they could never truly win real loyalty and real support. And now you can see that there are people occupying each symbol of the game, the circle, the triangle, the X, and the square. Which basically means that in order to beat the game, we all need to occupy these spaces. Then he ends the performance with a call to action by telling you to turn off the TV and disconnect from the propaganda and the brainwashing that occurs through the mainstream media as they influence you through the power structures that influence the media. Insane. Genius.
Hey, what's up everybody? How you doing? I'll be doing fine, wherever you are today. Now, as you know, this is a presenter, Kendrick Stories, and today, like we usually do, sometimes talk about contemporary things that are happening in the United States today. Now, just 2 days ago, the Kendrick Lamar performance at the Super Bowl led a lot of people with a lot to say, with much people who understand symbolism, who understand American history, and who understand, most importantly, Black history, had something to say. And this was so much spectacular. However, we also have people that resented the performance of Kendrick Lamar, people who also said something about it. But at the end of the day, I think it's about the lesson that he tried to share with Americans. And I'm so glad that he did that. For a person who understands literature, for a person who has understood American history, Black American history, I think what Kendrick Lamar was trying to do, he was trying to inform his people. Everything that was being showed symbolically. And yes, some people might ask you, why are you saying everything that was being showed symbolically? Remember, somebody once said that a revolution will be televised. There is no show that is much watched as the Super Bowl performances that is not watched like the BET Awards. These are the most watched shows in American history in TV televisions. People watch it every time, youth, older people, because it carries generation of celebrating American talent, American music. So this shows you how a revolution was being performed, and Kendrick Lamar really played a big part in this. What does this have for Black people? Now, what does this have for Black people is a good question that I'll ask you, and I'm asking myself. Look at the performance. Look at everything that is happening. It was a reflection of American capitalism. It was a reflection of what happened in I don't know if it was in 1985. around 1985 or 1965, I'm not sure, when Americans were promised an acre and a mule. The symbolism of the performance of Kendrick Lamar really shouted a lot of information. Now, I don't want to preempt everything for you because I was really intrigued with the performance and the symbolism inside the video. But again, people also had to talk about this. White people, black people, and Americans generally. I'd say something about this because it is true. A revolution is being televised and you are just watching a revolution. Now, let's watch the video. I'll be back and then we'll have a great discussion in regards to this.
People saying how Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl performance was so symbolic and then not explaining the symbolism is why the symbolism in his Super Bowl performance is so impactful. So let's break this down. First, Uncle Sam is Samuel Jackson in this show. Throughout the course of the show, he either praises Kendrick for how he behaves or he scolds Kendrick on how he is not behaving properly. And at one point, he actually says, "Gamekeeper, deduct one life." And that is a symbol of how Black people are specifically treated in this country, where if you don't behave properly by code switching or being palatable, then you're going to be chastised in the United States as a Black person. But then we get introduced to the dancers. The dancers are all in sweatsuits, and the sweatsuits at one point becomes a configuration of the American flag. And during that part, he is actually in the middle of those dancers as he's performing. Even though the colors come together to form the American flag, it's actually the sweatsuits which stuck out to me the most. And someone else pointed this out, I'll tag her, and she said that the sweatsuits were very similar to those in Squid Games. And if you remember in Squid Games, the game players are wearing sweatsuits depending on their status in the game. But everyone essentially was playing towards the big pot of money at the end, and they were willing to fight each other to win said money. And as more people started to die throughout Squid Games, there was more money available for the winners at the end of the game. Now, Squid Games is actually a symbolism of capitalism and how when people at the bottom specifically continue to fight each other in the hopes of winning the money or the pot of gold at the end of said game, that no one actually wins. So in my opinion, him dancing in between the American flag is, yes, a symbolism of how the country is divided, but because all the colors are kind of mixed in together, it just shows that people of different socioeconomic statuses are still divided regardless of their political party. But then we get to the stage configuration, and that turns out to be a game controller. And who is the controller? The United States. But during one of the songs, the camera is in the middle and he is dancing at each different part of the X. And to me, that was a symbol that each specific group or demographic, so you could think of maybe races or ethnicities, are in their communities but only focus on each other, and every now and again we'll look to see what the other is doing, but no one's actually working together. And then at the end of the performance, he performs Not Like Us, which he has been advised by other major A-list celebrities to not perform this song. Why? Because the Super Bowl is not supposed to be a political type of stunt for the United States. It's strictly for the purpose of entertainment, right? Because in the United States, when you're under capitalism, the way to keep people distracted essentially is by entertaining them through forms of TV, through music, through movies, all of these things. So at the end, when he's like, "Oh, am I going to do it? I'm going to do it." And then he ends up performing the song. Everyone's like, "Oh, he's dissing Drake again." Girl, this is more than just Drake, okay? Wake up. And then you see Serena Williams coming out during a crip walk. And if you remember, Serena was fined and scolded publicly for doing this at one of her tennis matches, even after she won. And her having a moment on this stage, and also Kendrick saying the revolution will be televised and you picked the right time but the wrong guy, is really a symbol of people, specifically people of influence, which he refers to in his speech at one point. People of influence speaking and talking and acting in accordance to their values, regardless of what the entertainment industry or the bigger higher ups or whatever want them to do. And then we get to the very end when he says, "Turn this TV off," multiple times. Why? Because again, the Super Bowl is one of the most televised events and the most watched events throughout the entire year, which is a distraction for most Americans who are at the bottom of the totem pole, that are really just trying to distract themselves from what they have to do in their everyday lives, which is go to work and work for pennies and, fight each other for just a simple raise. So altogether now, game over at the very end of the Super Bowl performance is a symbol that of people actually coming together to not only start, but withhold and run a revolution. So as a summary here, the reason why everyone needs to know this is because the revolution cannot happen if everyone does not know about it and participate and stick to their guns throughout the course of said revolution. Thank you and good night.
Kendrick is so calculated. Man, he's the best rap anthropologist I've ever seen in my life, because he breaks things down to a way that's so precise it's scary. His references in the first second, using Samuel Jackson as Uncle Sam, but also having that be a homage to Do the Right Thing of Samuel Jackson being the radio show host at the same time, and also connecting that back to The Revolution Would Not Be Televised, Jill Scott Heron, right? Knowing that America's in a crazy place within its political scene, and the subjugation of Black people is still present, as it has always been, and the rise of fascists, you know, disease, all of that, and being able to also give entertainment but education for those who know, for those who are part of the in-group, is what makes him an anthropologist, is what makes him someone who's so studied, so cultured, and who understands himself more than Drake will ever, because he's not trying to be anything else. He's just being himself. He's being of his community. He's being of LA, being just that guy, you know, being that person who understands his culture, understands the plights and tribulations, but also wants to be authentic to who he is, no matter what the stage is. That was special for everybody watching. Whether you're in the culture or out of the culture, you should know that was spiritual more than it was lyrical, but it was spiritual and lyrical. You get me? Mad ting, you know? But what were your thoughts on it? There's a lot more I didn't even touch on, but that Super Bowl presentation, concert, whatever it was something special.
Twin, where have you been? Kendrick, my Gemini twin. Good job, brother. I'm going to give you your flowers. If they don't want to give you your flowers, I'm going to give you your flowers. Because you ate that up. You did Black History Month right. And they mad. Okay? I knew what was finna happen. As soon as I seen Samuel L. Jackson come out looking like Uncle Sam, I knew it was about to be happening. He told a whole story, y'all. Y'all need to look deeper. Y'all need to look deeper into the message of what Kendrick Lamar delivered at the Super Bowl. Okay? Because he wasn't on skates and there was no ass shaking. Y'all mad? Y'all feel like, oh, it was just mediocre. No, it was history. He made history. He educated, and he did not care who he was doing it in front of, who was there. Okay? He ate that all the way up. Okay? And he is a Gemini, so that whole performance was very much calculated, and he knew what he was doing and the message he was about to deliver. And for y'all that don't understand that, oh man, so sad, so sad. But Kendrick Lamar, if they don't want to give you your flowers, I give you your flowers. Okay? It's Black History Month. If anybody else don't perform this month, I will forever remember how you ate it up at the Super Bowl. Good job, twin. Good representation of the Geminis. I love it here. And I love that for you.
That was the worst Super Bowl halftime show I've ever seen, and Kendrick fans are already saying that, oh, this is a race thing. Nobody was saying this about Beyonce's halftime show. Because Beyonce's halftime show, unlike Kendrick's, had amazing choreography. Kendrick's choreography was boring. It had amazing costume design. Kendrick's costume design was boring. It had amazing set design. Kendrick's sets were boring. And Beyonce performed a wide list of songs that actually resonate with a large portion of the US population. You can't say the same thing for Kendrick's performance. Beyonce's performance was also musically impressive. You can also not say the same thing about Kendrick's performance. I think a lot of artists nowadays think that if their art has political messaging in it, then it doesn't have to be impressive on a surface level, like musically and aesthetically, visually impressive. And that's just not and never will be true, especially for the Super Bowl halftime show. People want a halftime show that is both visually and musically impressive, and Kendrick's performance was neither of those things.
But bro, it was the symbolism. Y'all didn't get it. Y'all didn't understand the symbolism, the double entendres. There is so much hidden. Shut the hell. Listen, I completely understand the message that Kendrick was trying to go for with this particular performance. He delivered it well, right? His message was delivered clearly. Anybody with an 8th grade education can understand the message that Kendrick's trying to convey with this performance. Like I said previously, my issue with his performance was the set list. The set list was mid. He has so many other classic songs that other people could actually relate to and sing the lyrics to that he did not perform. That's why a lot of people are saying that this performance was a snooze fest. Yes, there was a lot of symbolism and he did convey a very important message within his performance besides dissing Drake. But if we being honest, the performance itself was underwhelming. Kendrick built up so much anticipation for this performance due to the Drake beef, but I just personally think he underdelivered.
Y'all heard what Kendrick Lamar said at the beginning of his Super Bowl performance? He said everybody must be judged, but this time God only favoring us. All in white TPPL, and that went right over their head. This nigga's happening right under their noses, right in front of them, and they can't see it. They can't see it. Most High using PPL like him and artists, right? Right, it's happening right under their noses. Literally. Went over all their head. Didn't go over my head, though. Black Americans are the real children of Israel, the real Jews, the real indigenous Americans from the same tribe as Jesus Christ or Yahweh Shah or Yahusha.
Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Just hope that you are super fine. Now, I know the performance of Kendrick Lamar have been met with a lot of backlash. Some people are complaining about, whatever happened during the Super Bowl performance. But if you're a black person who really understands the struggle that you've gone through in the United States, you get to understand that everything, it is even more than the diss track to Drake or their problem that they are having with Drake, the rap problem and all those disses and those track disses. It is way more than that. Like something that is happening tries to symbolically tell you that we're showing you the problem with American capitalism, right? Even if you look at Uncle Samuel, that's Samuel Jackson's, his performance, his presence on the stage really symbolizes a lot of things, right? His presence on the stage showed a lot of things, and this is a great message. And I think Black History Month, it is just here with us, and I think this is just great, everything that happened. And as an African who is watching these things and understanding contemporary things that are happening in the United States, I really get to understand history firsthand, because music is an art, and art is used to show things that affect society, right? And because of a lot of censorship that the United States has, this has to be done in a form of art, and it has to be done symbolically, because when it's done symbolically, you cannot pin down a person for doing something symbolically, right? And that's what Kendrick Lamar went for, and I think that was one of the best performances, if you ask me. I'm not trying to say that other performances like Beyonce, Rihanna, and all other people like Chris Brown who went and performed didn't do anything, right? They did, but when you look at the message, right? When you try to think about the message, how they performed it, the message that they were trying to convey to the listeners or to the crowd or to the audience, that was the main message. And they're literally trying to tell people the Black history, because everything, as I said, was symbolically. Everything, as I said, was done symbolically, right? And even if you try to look how things have been happening lately, look at the rate of oligarchy in the United States. Look at the rate of capitalism in the United States. That really tells you by the choice of performance that Kendrick Lamar chose. Because if you look at it, he took a form of design of a Squid Game. If you've watched a Squid Game, a Squid Game is I don't know if it's Korean or it's a Japanese show that shows how people are struggling to make both ends meet. And then we have these people who got it all, who are using human beings to play. But it doesn't end at just that. The story goes where there's a set of games that people ask to play, and then at the end of the day, we only have one survivor, and this survivor will have to take all of the money. This is a symbolism of how capitalist the United States is, right? Because we fight for money this creates a divide, right? This creates hate. This creates a lot of people. I mean, people just tend not to be human. People kill each other because of all these things. And this is a true definition of what is happening in the United States. And so the performance of Kendrick Lamar was just more than just a musical performance. And I understand some people will do an analysis trying to look at musically how it was performed, right? The choreography, how it was done. But at the end of the day, I'll give it a 10 out of 10 based on message in the music and symbolism in it, what it's trying to convey, because it has done the perfect function of an art to educate the society. One, through criticism, through mockery, and that's what is done, right? That, I mean, all of what you're seeing, it was just more than this. It was more than just to diss Drake, but it was just to talk to Americans and show them really what's happening. And so I feel like this is a Black History Month, a really Black History Month, and it is good because you're seeing a lot of people trying to talk about this and few people who really understood the performance more than just the musicality, right? Because when we look at musicality, other performances did well, but when you look at the functionality of the music, I mean, what's the function of the art in the society? It really conveyed this important message, and so I feel like it has achieved the role of what it's supposed to do. So for me, I'll give it a 10. I'll give it a 10, and everything that he's got, the awards that he's got, the 5 awards that he's got, I mean, it deserves it. It deserves it for real. Like, you know, I'm not kidding. It really deserves it, as a person who really understands what's really going on. So tell me what you think about this video in the comment section. I'll most definitely want to know what you feel or what you think about this. Until then, I'm going to be seeing you in my next video. Peace, love, and harmony. Salam.